Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of How It Works. Today, we're going to talk about compressors and compression for both musicians and audio engineers. I'm going to give you some of their basic controls, and I'll give you some audio examples both before and after I apply compression so you can hear exactly what it will do to your sound. Compressors, whether they be expensive studio rack units, small guitar or bass effect pedals, or even the software and plugins in your DAW, they all perform the basic same function of reducing the dynamic range. The dynamic range can be referred to as the difference between your lowest audio and your highest audio. It will effectively compress the sound, bringing down the highest peaks and bringing up the lower valleys, and making the overall volume sound louder. Most compressors have four essential controls: threshold, ratio, attack, and release. All musicians and audio engineers who seek to use compression should understand the four basic ingredients to help them achieve the sound they're looking for. First, we have threshold. Threshold is the level of the incoming signal at which the compressor will start to reduce gain. In other words, when the incoming signal reaches the chosen value, it will be reduced by the set ratio. The exact moment the compressor starts gain reduction is called the knee. I'll throw up a few pictures on the right to show you the difference between a hard knee and a soft knee. Next, we have ratio. Ratio is the quantitative relationship between the signal entering and leaving the compressor. That's fancy talk for saying the degree to which the compressor reduces the gain. Look to the right for another visual reference. Say we have our compressor set at 4:1, which is a great starting point for most compression work. For every 4 decibels fed into the compressor, we'll get 3 decibels of reduction. So if we have 100 decibels fed into the same compressor, we'll get 25 decibels coming out. We have 2 more important settings to help us shape our compressor and have it act the way we intend it to. Attack refers to the time it takes the compressor to start reducing gain once the threshold is reached. Since transient information at the front or attack portion conveys brightness and character, especially with percussive sounds like drums, immediately reducing it with the compressor will result in a dull sound. Slowing the attack will allow the initial transient of sound to pass through before clamping. If it is set too slow, ineffective or late compression may occur. Release refers to the amount of time the compressor uses to return to unity gain after the input signal has fallen below the threshold. Pumping and breathing are engineer jargon words for obvious compressor artifacts or side effects with maximum compression. Sudden and usually unwanted deep gain reduction is called pumping, while a slower return or release to operating level with a noticeable rise of the noise floor is called breathing. I have set up 3 different audio and visual examples to help you understand effects of compression on a source. The first example will be a guitar, where the style changes from a picked rhythm to strummed chords and a lead line. For this example, I used a compressor plugin from Positive Grid's Pro series. It's a FET-style compressor based on an LA2A unit. I have the ratio set to about 4:1 with a moderate attack and release setting. I also used a plugin from the Waves SSL series, which is a compressor based on a vintage solid-state Logic console. For the example of a compressor and a drum bus, I use a 2:1 ratio, a slow attack, and the fastest release. For the full mix example, I use a 4:1 ratio, moderate attack, and the release is going to be set to auto. For each example, I'll show you a waveform and a visual of the compressor in action. All will have a version with no compression, a ridiculous amount of compression, and a reasonable amount of compression. I hope you enjoy. that's all for this week's video, guys. I hope you learned something and you enjoyed. If you did, hit this big subscribe button right here. Until next week, keep it brutal.